This is American Thought Leaders, and I'm Yanya Kellick. Right now I'm sitting down with Anne McElhinney, producer of the film Gosnell, The Trial of America's Biggest Serial Killer.
So in this really large courtroom in Philadelphia, they have a big screen on front of the jury where they're projecting images of the 47 children that were found on the premises, the dead bodies of the 47 children. And they're putting these up. And these are photographs taken by the medical examiner in Philadelphia. Very, very high definition. The most extraordinary photographs I have ever seen. Some of the children have their fingers up. Some of them were mummified remains. They had been rehydrated. They're extraordinary photographs. Alongside that, you have unbelievable, like really unbelievable, and in fact, I think the most unimpeachable evidence we've ever had for the horror of abortion in America, and it's incredible. But alongside that, you have witnesses who are taking the stand and describing what was going on in this hell house, in this horror hellhole that Gosnell had created. And Phelim said, he turns around and there are no journalists there. Journalists are not covering this incredible story. So he comes back to Los Angeles after spending about a week there and says to me, his wife, and our business partner, Magdalena Segueda, this is the next thing we're doing. We're dropping everything else. And we had money for another movie. And getting money for movies is very, very tough, right? Yeah. We said, no, we want nothing to do with abortion. We're not doing that. It's too controversial. It's not our deal. We're actually a bit like this about abortion. We don't really whatever. And he said, look, do this. Read the trial transcripts for the days that I was there. He got the trial transcripts, we read them, and that was done. That was a done deal. And we decided there was nothing else we wanted to do with our lives but do this. And it has been, 5 years later I'm talking to you about this. I'm really glad we did it. I'm glad we wrote the book. So the book is different than the movie. So the book is very detailed. It gives all the information that you could never put in a movie. There are things in that book that you would never put in a movie, because forget about R rating. It would never be allowed to be shown. The things that are in that book of what actually happened, of what people said happened during the trial. And then we made the movie, and the movie is...
I mean, is it... we don't want it on camera either, but I guess, but like... You got me fascinated. Like,
well, it's things like, you can cut me off. You can cut me off maybe, but it's things like, the detailed testimony of people who went there, who went for abortions to Gosnell's clinic. Gosnell was not... And what they experienced. Right. And I can tell you things... All right.
Understand. We don't need to go further. It's like our audience will be interested.
So in the book, we have super details of that. Right. So all the stuff that you couldn't show in a movie. Right. And then the movie is very much a PG-13. We were very careful about that. We wanted this to be a movie that teenagers can watch. Middle-aged people aren't getting pregnant anytime soon. But, so young people need to see this and get their hearts and minds right about this issue of abortion. And one of the things the movie is called The Trial of America's Biggest Serial Killer. So it focuses on the trial and on the testimony, and a lot of what we have in the movie is taken verbatim from the trial transcripts. And I think the piece that's really interesting maybe for us to talk about just briefly this morning is the testimony of Karen Fusseline, who's an OBGYN from Philadelphia, who was an expert witness during the trial. Right. She's played in the movie by Janine Turner. Right. And it is electrifying, and you've seen the movie, it's an electrifying moment in the movie. But it's true, and now when we have the context of Governor Northam and what he has said, this becomes extraordinary. So here's what Karen Fusseline was asked. She was asked, what would happen if a baby was born alive during an abortion? And she kind of hesitated, and she eventually she said, well, as a human being, you'd want to keep it warm. Eventually, it will pass. So she described infanticide right there. It'll pass because of neglect. It'll pass, the child will die because we will neglect it to death. So when Governor Northam spoke, I was like, this is like an extraordinary thing. Our movie has just come out on VOD, on video on demand. It's in Walmart, it's on Amazon, and it's kind of an extraordinary piece. It's an amazing kind of hand of God moment, because it's like the timing is incredible, because here's what we made the movie because of infanticide. We made the movie because of this testimony.
Right, but it's not explicitly abortion film or something like this. It's just kind of telling the story of this very extreme situation, right?
Yeah. It's you don't need to do anything with the movie we made or with the story that we're telling. You don't need to do anything with it. You just tell the story, because the media did not cover the story. Obviously, people on the right did. We had quite a lot of very good coverage actually from the right, but from the left, from the mainstream media, there was crickets. They didn't cover this story, and they didn't cover it because when you do cover it, and when you do tell this story, and people do hear this story, they don't like what they learn about abortion. Obviously, they don't like what they hear about Kermit Gosnell, who is in prison for 3 life sentences for murdering children who were born alive by cutting their necks with scissors. But what they also get along the way of learning that story, that horrible story, is what already goes on in America, what is already legal in America. And it's shocking. You know, in America, you can have an abortion at 9 months, period. And people don't know that. And I think Governor Northam has done this country some service by focusing the minds of people on what is actually already legal. And I'll tell you what I think would be great if the 2020 election was the abortion election. Because people of every hue, of every religious persuasion and none, do not like what they hear when they hear about the laws that we have already in this country.
Thank you so much, Anne. Thank you for taking the time.
It's great. I really appreciate it. Thank you.